Hello, I'm Steve Shaw, National Coordinator of Football Officials and Secretary of Rules Editor for the NCAA. And today we're continuing our series of training videos for 2023, and we're going to be focused on game action from Week 6. Now, as we hit the midpoint in our season, two things I really want to talk about. Number one, let's do not let up at all in our preparation. Our work before we get to the game site and our pregame conference is so important. Don't let down there. The tendency would be, hey, we've got this, but let's make every game fresh, every game new, and really do a great job preparing. And also, end of game situations. Let's make sure that we get cleared by replay before we leave the field or before we announce the game is over. That is so important. Let's make sure replay gives you a thumbs up and everything's good to go. Now, a couple things to report out on. First, targeting. In FBS, we've had 73 targeting fouls so far this year, and that's averaging 0.17 targeting fouls per game. And maybe better said, that's one targeting foul in every 6 games. And that trend line is down from last year, and that's good. And we're working on a 3-year downward trend. So if that trend holds, that would be 4 years in a row where our targeting fouls are down, and that's good for the game, good for the student athlete. But we can't let up there. We've got to do our job. It's so important from a player safety perspective. And as far as overtime, in FBS, we've had 15 games go into extra periods. And so about 3.5% of all of our games go into overtime. And so of that, we've had 1 4-overtime game, 1 3-overtime game. We've had 5 2-overtime games, and the rest of the games were settled in 1 overtime. But that makes for an exciting end to the game. But we've got to really focus and concentrate in extra periods. So with that, let's get on into our video. Our first play this week, we see the offense in the red zone. The quarterback fakes, keeps the ball, and dives for the end zone. And the ruling on the field is going to be touchdown. Now, as we go back and take a look at the replays presented by TV, we see the first replay, the quarterback dives, his left forearm and then the elbow hits down. But it's difficult to see the position of the ball in relation to the goal line. But replay sees enough smoke, and they're going to stop the game for further review. Now, we get a ground level shot from TV midway in the end zone, and it's a very good view to see the arm down. But again, the position of the ball is difficult to determine in relation to the goal line. And as we get a third replay, it's starting to feel like replay is going to have to let this play stand. But as we go back and look at the work of the replay official, and this is really good work, we see that from the 12 camera view that's synced up, replay is going to pick 2 views and piece them together. They take the near handheld, which we know we have a good view of the arm down, and the far goal line camera, which was never put on TV. And we put these side by side, make sure they're synced up. And then when we see and know from the handheld that the arm is down, we then blow up the far goal line camera, and we can see the ball is absolutely short. So this is a good job by replay to use all their tools available to overturn the call on the field to just short of the goal line. Well done. Play 2 is going to be a kickoff, and we see that the receiver catches the ball right at the 14-yard line, starts upfield, but we're going to immediately blow the play dead. Now, as we go back and take a look at the ISO on the return man, we see that he gives a signal. Not a very good signal. It's really an invalid signal. And we know it doesn't meet the definition of a valid fair catch signal, which requires the receiver to extend the hand clearly above their head and waving the hand from side to side. And so since this doesn't meet the requirements of a valid signal, it's an invalid signal, but we know it still deprives the receiving team the ability to advance the ball, and they don't get the protection from being blocked and tackled like they would with a valid signal. But on a free kick with a valid or an invalid signal, we know that if the receiver completes the catch, they can still put the ball in play like a touchback at the 25-yard line. Play 3, the kickers will put the ball in play at their own 20-yard line after a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike after their touchdown. Now, the return man's going to catch the kick at about the 15-yard line, heads up to the far sideline, pitches the ball in a reverse to number 17, who takes the ball, turns the corner, heads upfield, and is out of bounds at the 44-yard line for an excellent return. Now, as we know, replay must evaluate all aspects of each play. And replay is going to stop the game here to look at the pitch to number 17. Now, we see that the initial returner pitches the ball from right at the 20-yard line, and number 17 is going to catch it maybe just beyond the 21. Now, live, optically, it appeared to be backward, but this pitch is clearly forward, and we get a good announcement from our referee.
Too soon.
After further review, the pitch was forward from the 20-yard line.
So let's all be alert on kick returns when we have throwbacks or pitches or even handoffs, making sure that they're backward and not forward. But good job by replay here, being alert to all aspects of the play and stopping the game for review. Well done. Play 4 is a good alert by our line judge, and we see that the offense here is in scrimmage kick formation, and they are taking advantage of the numbering exception rule. And we see that the snapper is established. Remember that if the snapper touches or simulates touching the ball with hands at or below the knees, they are established. And so in this case, the snapper has one hand on the ball. He's established. And we notice the left tackle, number 10, is on the line and covered up. Now, number 10 steps back, he gets set as a back, and the right up back steps forward to be on the line. Now, after pausing, number 10 goes in motion across the formation, and then the ball is snapped, he turns up downfield. Now, we know by rule, once the snapper is established, all linemen not numbered 50 to 79 who are ineligible by position, and number 10 is covered up here, so he's ineligible by position, they must be on the line and covered up, not on the end of the line when they snap the ball, or it's a foul for an illegal formation. So this is good recognition by the line judge to get the marker down. And remember, the snapper is the trigger here. If number 10 shifted into the backfield before the snapper established, he'd be okay. So when teams go into scrimmage kick formations, let's be hyper alert on these formations. Play 5 is really a reminder of a rule we see frequently on test questions, but not very often on the field. Now, we're going to get a punt. Receiver number 6, he muffs the ball, it bounces, and is ultimately going to be recovered by number 12 of the receiving team. But it's important to note that if number 6 did give a valid fair catch signal here, we know that by rule, if he signals and muffs the ball, he gets an unimpeded opportunity to complete the catch. And from the end zone view, we see that he does give a fair catch signal. He's going to muff the ball. He tips it up 2 times, and then kicker number 43 is going to make contact and drive him out of the way. Now, the receiving team recovers, but if in your judgment number 6 had an opportunity to complete this catch, he must be given the opportunity to do so. So by rule here, you can make the strong case that number 6 still had an opportunity to make this catch, and number 43 moved him and committed a foul for kick-catching interference. A very interesting play. So while we're looking at scrimmage kicks, play 6, we're going to see that the offense punts, and the ball lands about the 45-yard line, and it's going to bounce and roll forward. And the return man, number 2, is going to let the ball go, and the kickers have 3 players in position to down the ball. Then they all 3 go after the return man. It appears they try to force him into touching the ball. Now, the ball's at the 25, and through this action, one of the kicking team players accidentally kicked the ball forward upfield, and it's down between the 34 and 35-yard line. So this action that we're looking at, we really haven't seen this. And the question is there a foul here? Now, we know first, if the receiver had touched the ball, it would be forced touching, and this touching would be disregarded. But I would definitely support a holding foul here as the kickers grab hold and pull the return man. And again, if they'd have forced him into the ball, we'd ignore that. But this penalty, if it was holding, would be enforced either at the previous spot or where the ball here ultimately belongs to the receiving team, Team B, 1st and 10. A strange play, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen on a kick. Play 7, I want to talk about defenseless players. Now, we're going to see the quarterback, he hands off to the back, and we're actually going to blow this play dead and mark progress up at the 50-yard line. The player is driven back, pulled back, is actually going to be pulled down, and then he's hit back at the 48-yard line. Now, our guidance about ball carriers is they are not defenseless during live ball action. Even if they're wrapped up by defenders, if they're still up, driving for yardage, if the play is live, they're not defenseless. But here, this runner is clearly driven back. He's pulled down onto another defender, and then another defender comes in and makes strong contact to the player. This play is ended. This back is a defenseless player and deserves the protection there. And so I think we would all agree that if he's defenseless and the contact by number 3, there's an attack, the player makes forcible contact to the head of the defenseless opponent. So this is correctly called as targeting, and number 3 is disqualified. This doesn't change anything on our philosophies about ball carriers. If they're still up, even though they're wrapped up, if the play is live and they can gain yardage, then they're not defenseless players. But when the play is over and they're clearly being driven back or down, then they do become defenseless players. Our last play this week, we're snapping from the plus 33. The quarterback's going to drop back and he throws a pass to the boundary. Now, the catch is good at the sideline, right at the 29-yard line, and we're going to get a flag from our referee for roughing the passer, and we get a strong announcement from our referee.
The flag came out.
Roughing the passer, defense number 51, high contact, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
As we go back and take a look at the replay, the ball is gone, the defender is late, and the contact is high. So this is good judgment for roughing the passer. But as we look at the action, this is clearly not targeting. So good judgment from the referee here. Now, one note, we had a completed pass beyond the neutral zone, so this personal foul will be enforced from the end of the run, which is at the 29. So we'll go half the distance to the goal line from that point. And we know this is the case now for personal fouls and for Team B unsportsmanlike conduct fouls during a pass play when it ends beyond the neutral zone. Well, that's it for our plays this week, and I hope these plays can spark conversations in your pregame conferences. And as we move deeper into the season, don't take your pregame conference for granted, as every official needs to bring something of value to each pregame. Now, this week, we want quality fouls, make it be there, be good dead ball officials, concentrate on every play, and be excellent with all of our game management situations. Display your integrity, courage, and poise, that's always required, and be great communicators to each other, to coaches, to players. Always use your winning words.